Okay, welcome everyone. Today I'm going to show you take your motion capture animation that you set up either by recording it yourself on your computer or on one of our motion capture stations I have set up in the classroom. So from that process, you get a DAE FBX file, and that's going to contain all your animation. You're going to be applying that onto the character that you generated in Autodesk Character Generator. So let's do it. So you've got a file or a folder on your desktop called MoCap Demo Shane. Just has some a capture and a character made by one of my students. You can guess what his name is. Okay, so we got these files and we need to get them into Unity, so let's go ahead and launch Unity. So first thing you got to do is sign into your account. And I signed out and cleared all this out so you would have the same screens as me. So let me just log into here. You do need to have a Unity account, by the way. If you don't have one already, now would be a good time to go ahead and make one. Sign into there. And if it's your first time launching Unity, you may get a screen asking about license and some other things. Just use Personal Edition until I can come serialize you with the Pro version. Okay, it does take Unity just a minute to launch. Come on, Unity, let's go.
So why aren't we going to stream on YouTube? It is? What?
We are streaming live on YouTube, yes. Every time I hit go on our broadcasting software, it is streaming live right now on YouTube. Yep.
I can't see it on YouTube. I see it. Search up VJ and I know.
You might have to refresh.
I only refreshed 80 times.
If you're on brooksheb.com, you can click the little YouTube symbol in the bottom right of the embedded video. You may have to click Unity again if you sign in and it does nothing. There we go. So now I am already signed in. So it's already showing projects that I've started, but I want to start a new project so we can just show this from scratch. So just click New, start a new project, and let's just call this all the same thing, MoCap Demo, and I'm going to call mine Broadcast because it's different than the others. All right, and I'm going to create project. I realize some of you might be a little bit lagging behind me. I'm not going to wait for you though, since we are broadcasting this live on the internet and recording it. So you can go back and watch this later if you get lost. All right, so we see Unity coming up, launching our project. Here we are. Okay, so first thing I want to do is create somewhat of a scene for my character to be in. If this is your very first time launching Unity, the controls are very similar to most 3D packages. So holding the Alt key down and left dragging will let you orbit around. Let's first get our files into Unity in this project pane. So we could either right click on it and choose Import New Asset, or we could go to the File menu and open it, or Assets, sorry, Import New Asset. But I like to just drag it in. It's kind of the simplest way. Again, if you are stuck, have questions, I'm not going to be able to hit them right now. We're doing our live broadcast. Sorry. We'll get you caught up just as soon as it's over. Thanks for your patience. All right, so let me make this window a little bit smaller. Now I'm using a pretty small screen to do the broadcast on for bandwidth purposes, but you'll have more room on your screen, so you should be able to do this easier. Here we go. Okay, so our MoCap Demo Shane folder has our DAE file and our FBX file. So just drag those both over into the project pane like that, and you'll see it start to import them. and you won't be able to do anything in Unity. It finishes that easily. Now, one thing you'll notice right here, it says self FBM, self color. Here's an interesting thing right here. A material is using a texture as a normal map. It must be marked as a normal map. Well, Unity is intelligent and it realizes that, so we'll just say fix now. It's going to fix our normal maps to be noted as a normal map. That way it'll work properly. So if you ever get that message, just hit fix now and everything will be golden. Okay. So here we are. We've got our two files, the self, which is the character that Shane made in the Autodesk character generator. And then we have the motion capture file that we recorded on the motion capture station. So let's start off by just making a little bit of the scene. And we're going to keep this super basic just for time purposes. I'll want you to make your scene a little more detailed for your project, but let's go to Game Object at the top and then go to 3D Object and choose Plane. We're just going to make a ground plane here, and I'm going to switch to the Scale tool, which is QWER. The R key will activate Scale, and then I'm just going to drag the center cube to just make that much larger so we have a ground. Okay, next we want to add our character. So let's start off by dragging the Autodesk character, which in this case is just self. Drag that right over into the scene view, and we'll see our character there. Zoom in a little bit on him. And next we want to be able to see him a little better. So let's add a light. Game Object, 3D Object, light, and then directional lights. My mind always goes to 3D Object because this is the most common ones that I use in this menu. So light, directional light, that's going to give us a light source that's kind of like the sun. All right. We're going to get our move tool, which you can get by hitting the W key. And then I'm just going to move that up so it's above everything. Doesn't really matter how far or where you place it, just drag it up and then go back into our character here so we kind of see both. And I'm going to get the rotate tool and just kind of rotate that light until I see the character a little better. There we go.
Mr. Brooks, how did you put your character in the game?
I drug the self here right into the scene. And again, if you get lost in this demonstration, just sit tight and you can go back and watch it again, okay? All right, so here we are. And you'll notice over in the game view, the character is really tiny and we don't see the ground. So let's get our camera and zoom out in the scene view here. And by default, it's made it a 2D camera. That's why the camera projection kind of looks like a box. Let's switch that over here to projection to perspective. And that's going to make it act more like a real camera. Okay? All right. Now the character is kind of far away, so let's get the move tool and just move the camera closer to our character. You'll see it change in the game view and the camera preview. And just pull that up above him. There we go. And angle it down slightly. There we go. Something like that. Okay, so now we also are on the back side of the character. So I'm going to get self here in the hierarchy, and I'm just going to rotate him around. So you could either just drag this handle like that, or you could set this to an exact 180 on the Y rotation. 180. And enter. There we go. I tend to usually want to do exact values here because it makes it easier to work with later. Okay, just like Maya, if there's an object you want to kind of center or focus in on the viewport, just select it in the hierarchy and hit the F key with your cursor in the scene view, and it will kind of slowly zoom into them. All right, I'm going to readjust the light again because whenever I rotated the character, we can no longer see his face. Just let me zoom up here so I can see the rotation handle of the light, and then I'm just going to kind of tweak the light until I see it look correct in the game view right there. Perfect. Okay. This is good enough for us to go ahead and get everything connected. So here he is in the game view. He's got a ground, standing in a T-pose. All right, so there's a few things we need to do. First of all, both of these files that we brought in, the ones that have the little blue cube, we need to change the rig type for both of them. So you may have to rearrange your windows. Mine's smaller, like I said, so I'm going to have to keep readjusting all these. So select the file over in the project, and then go to rig, and then change this from generic to humanoid. So as soon as you choose humanoid, hit apply. That's going to change the character to be a humanoid. There we go. And then we're going to do the same thing for the MoCap file that we got. So MoCap humanoid at SHQNE. Change from generic to humanoid and hit apply. That's going to allow the character to work with Unity's animation system, and everything will be better, or actually work. Okay, so we got that, and in order to apply the actual animation, which in this case is just called SHQNE, we need to do a few things first. So on our character, we want to go to the inspector for him in the hierarchy. So select self in the hierarchy, and you'll notice we've got an animator, but it's missing the controller. So here's a vital step. In the project pane, we need to go to create. Oops, I accidentally made a material. Just delete that. So hold down the create button and then go to animator controller. We need to make an animator controller. And then I'm just going to name that immediately Shane, which is the name of our character. So this one animator controller can control all the animations for that one character, which you would then trigger later on by button presses and things like that. So in the hierarchy, select the self. We've got our animator controller. Now we're going to drag that from the project pane up here into that slot for the animator controller under the animator component on the self character in the hierarchy. So hopefully that made sense. We got that. Okay, so now we're going to double click the actual animator controller. And when we do that, it's going to open up the animator window. And this animator window is a system in Unity called Mechanim, which allows you to tie things in together programmatically. It's really powerful, but we're just going to skim the surface of it today. All right, so from the animator, you're going to right-click in this area, and you're going to choose Create State, Empty. That's going to make a new state. It's going to automatically link it to be the default state that is played when you hit play. And now we need to drag an animation into that state of the animator controller. I know this is starting to get more complicated, but just realize it's kind of setting up a whole system for you so that you can do a lot more with it. All right, so this little clip right here, this is an animation clip. We're going to drag that over here into the motion slot of the new state of your animator controller. So put that in there. And I'm going to go ahead and rename the state to MoCap. Doesn't really matter. We're just kind of doing that so it doesn't say new state anymore. So that's our MoCap. And now I'm going to go back over to the scene view. Okay. So let's go ahead and hit play and see what we got. See if anything happens. I don't see anything. Oh, there he goes. So that looks like that's what Shane's animation was. And it only performed the action once. So we want that to loop. And here's how we can do that. If we go into our actual MoCap humanoid file and then jump over to the animations tab, this is where we can see all the animations for that character. And scroll down here. Sorry, my window is so tiny, I have to kind of cram all this in here. So just below that, you'll see the SHQ&E. There's a little checkbox for loop time. So check loop time right there, and that's going to make it loop continuously when you hit play. Okay, so real quickly before we finish this, on your actual animation clip here, you can click and drag the beginning and end time of the animation to kind of trim it up so it looks better. So in this case, let me just drag my game view over here so we can see this a little better. So there's the kind of the dummy for the animation. And if I drag the endpoint, you can see where that's starting to do stuff. So I want to make sure I don't miss any of this amazing action here. So I'll just leave that there at the beginning and trim off the end, maybe right after he gets up right there. Okay, so now I'll hit apply at the bottom. Here we go. Now there's of course a lot more detail to this, like for instance when we hit play, the character kind of goes below the ground plane, and that just has to do with the way that the transforms are recorded. Don't worry about that too much right now. This is your main goal for this project though, is to apply your recorded animation onto the original character that you made, okay? So once you have that up and running in Unity, I want you to run another program called Screen to GIF, and I want you to record your Unity screen of your character moving into an animated GIF and put that in your Evernote. Okay, so that's what I'm going to require of you to do this. Let me just type in screen to GIF. Weird. Windows isn't finding it, but I happen to know I've got it in my Dropbox under applications. There it is. So you can go download this for free off the internet. It's called Screen to GIF. I thought it was with the number 2, but apparently it's TO. Okay, so real quickly how to use this program. Just hit recorder. And then just make this about the same size as your scene view. Unity's choking a little bit because I'm running a lot of things at once. Trim the animation you recorded, so you can just select frames and hit delete, and it will get rid of those frames. All right, so when you're done, you just hit save as, make sure it's on GIF, and it says looped GIF right there. And don't use legacy, system is better. Then you have to choose where it's saving it to. So I'll just choose desktop, and I'll call this sample GIF animation desktop. There we go. Okay, so I hit save, and it's going to launch Evernote. Okay, so now it finished encoding the GIF file. Whoa. Just trying to open it. Okay, sample GIF animation. So now we can drag this into Evernote. Just make sure that your GIF file is not too big. Like, don't have it anywhere near, it should be under 5 megabytes actually. So just make sure it's a really short animation that you record, otherwise it won't fit. Okay, so here's my note I made with Reginald Wanda. Let's go underneath there and drag my GIF file right into Evernote. I guess it recorded audio too. Interesting. Wow, mine's kind of freaking out right now, but yours should be fine if you follow this process. If you get weird results like this, with it kind of blinking in and out, you may need to change the screen to GIF thing to be legacy instead. Try it both ways. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope that you learned something. It's kind of a bit of a convoluted process, but it's an awesome way to record your own animations and apply those onto your own characters. So good luck, everyone. Let me know if you have questions.